Hi there, it's Louise here of Timeless Craft Mama, and today I'm sharing a scrapbook layout process video that I've created for a guest DT position over at Funky Flairs Studio. And this particular layout certainly wasn't something that I might have normally created, but I had a lot of fun doing it and working with the Funky Flairs product. So I'm going to show you the steps that I took to get this layout. First thing I'm going to do is take some black cardstock, and I'm just using a spatula to apply some acrylic paint. Now the paint I've used is the Art Alchemy Silver, and it's really good because it has this beautiful metallic shimmer sheen to the product. Now I'm also going to have a look at some of the elements that came from Funky Flairs. So I've got this great sticker sheet with all these cutouts. I've got some really cool hearts, some flare buttons, some titles, and lots of fun stuff that I'm going to work with. So I'm having a bit of a look, and I've decided that I'm going to theme my layout around X's and O's. So I'm going to cut that out. I've got the X and O cut out, and I've got some thickers as well that I'm going to use for this layout. Now I've got the Hello Love by Crate Paper 6x6 paper pad, and I'm just going to use a couple of sheets of that to mount this photo and get that ready to pop it on the page. Now I really like this paper pack because it's got fabulous patterns in the paper, but being that I scrap mostly boys, I didn't get a chance to use it very often. So this was a good chance for me to create a layout that's got some pink and silver tones in it, one that's going to go in my album, not for my boys, and that will give me a chance to use some of these pink papers. So I'm just working on a cluster for that top left hand side, and I had this sort of Project Life card that I was going to try and include in there as well, but it really just wasn't working for me, and it doesn't actually end up on the final layout. So once I've started to sort of look at how I'm going to build this page, I realised that I want to create some more layers with that acrylic paint. So I'm going to first of all stick these smaller strips of hearts down. I'm just going to attach those to the page, and of course when I'm doing a video it's always the time when my Scotch roller decides to run out of tape. The next thing I'm going to do is I've taken some Faber-Castell whipped spackle, and I've mixed it with the bubblegum gelato, and you can see that it creates this really cool textured colour kind of paste. So I'm just using a heart stencil to apply that around the page, and in hindsight I probably should have made a little bit more, but that's what happens, you live and learn. The final effect is still exactly as I wanted it. So while that dries naturally, I'm just going to pop some pink splatters around the page, and on the video these do get a little bit lost, you can't see them, but on the final layout they do add just these little shimmers to that particular final piece. Now, I decided that I was going to play with some tulle, and I have taken black and pink because that's sort of the theme that I'm going with on this particular layout, and I'm just going to attach that with some gel medium and again let that sit and dry. Now, because I wanted the tulle to create texture and interest, it's very rough and it's all folded in on itself and just creates sort of that really interesting texture in the background. So if you're copying this layout and you want to use that as something interesting to put on a page, you don't have to be too neat or precise with it. The fun part about it is that making it a little bit messy gives you something to work with in the background. So quite a fun thing to add to pages. Now I have again allowed that to dry naturally with that gel medium, and then I'm going to work through and build the final elements of this layout. Now when I initially had the idea of what I was going to do with this page in my head, I hadn't meant to have that photo on an angle. It was just sort of the way it worked out in the final putting together of this page. And I'm really pleased with the final result of this layout. You know, it's got lots of interest and lots of colour and lots of interesting texture, and it's certainly a favourite layout of something that will be featured in my albums for the future. Now as I'm watching this video and I'm looking at myself playing around with that project life card, I realise that it doesn't actually have any journaling on this page, so I think that's probably something I will go back and add to the project. It probably just needs a date and a little memory of what we were doing on this particular day, so that, you know, for future memories we know what was actually happening at the time. So I've titled the page Smitten because I, am completely smitten with my voice, and I wanted to have that memory, and also because, again, doing some stash busting, I had that thickest title in my stash. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of the final elements, and I'm just going to glue down some of those little looser elements onto the page, and I decided that that bottom right hand cluster just needed a little something extra, so I'm going to pop that sticker, the X's and O's sticker, and a little circle of that same card that I've used on this page across, and a lovely heart flare button as well, and that will be the finishing touch of this particular layout. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I've used some of the Funky Flairs products. This was really fun to create, and I hope you're inspired to play along either with some Funky Flairs products or even just some of the techniques that I've showed you here. I am Louise of Timeless Craft Mama. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.